How's it going, everyone? So I love fruit trees. Everyone loves fruit trees, and also other trees as well. And they can be quite expensive though. I mean, like when you want to set up a mini orchard or another orchard yourself at home, it can cost you a fair bit. For here, when we moved to this property, our little hobby farm, there was an existing orchard, but we planted out a new orchard and also bought a few other trees, fruit trees, to help rejuvenate the existing orchard, and it ended up costing us over $200 because the fruit trees around here costed anywhere between $30 and $50, and now that's a lot of money. And so some ways to save them is by propagating existing trees, say taking cuttings. Now that is a great way, but when you take a cutting, there is actually a chance that it won't strike, as in like it won't form roots and it could die. And so especially if they're larger cuttings, say like this, so like 20-30 centimeters, whatever, which generally a lot of people, I guess, take them as, if they don't survive, that can be, especially for a younger tree, that can be a large portion of the actual growth that is now gone and you can't get it back. But this is where the beauty of air layering takes place. So air layering is a type of cutting, but you actually only peel the bark away, wrap it around in some sort of media, and the roots grow while it is still attached to the tree or the existing plant. So you can do this with a lot of things. I do it with our fruit trees and it works great. And so if it doesn't take root, no worries, it's still connected to the tree and you're not going to lose anything. But for me, especially with the fig trees, which is what I'm going to show you guys today, I have had 100% success with this. So I'll show you guys how I do it, my method of doing it, and then also how to pot them up. Okay, so the first thing you want to do with air layering is remove a section about 10 centimeters or 4 inches long all the way around the branch. You want to strip just this top surface of bark. So I personally like to use a vegetable peeler or a potato peeler, just because it doesn't dig real deep if you're doing it with a knife or a blade, and it just exposes that sort of white tissue, and that's what you want to expose. So I'll just continue going all the way around. Now to hold the media in place, I actually like to use Glad wrap or cling wrap, just because I find that it is much easier than using, say, thicker plastic. So you cut a piece off. I like to then just fold it in half a bit. So you got a piece like that. Now obviously if the branch is thicker, you want to make it a bit longer. Now down below, out of the shot, I have a bucket that I have got peat coir with. You can also use peat moss. Peat moss is probably better, but I just like to use peat coir because it's cheaper. And I actually soaked it in a bit of seaweed solution as well, so when the roots do emerge, that they will just have a bit of nutrition. Then you just want to put some on like that. Now you actually don't need a lot. So I think I forgot to mention, but you do want to squeeze out all the excess water so it just stays moist, but you don't want it sopping wet, otherwise it will rot. So then all the way around, just like that, and then just pull fairly tightly. I like to just squish all the bits on the outside inwards. Then I just start wrapping it up a bit. All closed just like that. And if it's not quite big enough, you can come along with some more Glad wrap, use that and wrap it around. But otherwise, if it's all good, I then just use a bit of tape, a bit of gaffer tape, electrical tape, duct tape, anything like that, that'll just hold on like well enough, and then just wrap it around the outside here. So you go around a few times just till you hit then the bark from the tree that has not been exposed. So that way it just holds in the moisture, locks in the moisture so it doesn't run dry. And then that is how the method that I use to go about taking the air layering. So I find that method really, really easy. So if you guys want to give that a shot, it's very easy to do. You can try it on all trees, but now I'll actually show you guys how to pot them up. How I like to pot them up to give them the best chance at survival once you've cut them off from the nutrition that the tree gives them. Okay, so this airline cutting that I've taken here, this is actually about 3.5 months old, but it did show its first roots after about 5 weeks. So we have left it a bit late. It's just because from my course I haven't been here and my family has been busy as well, so we haven't really been able to do it. So basically what you want to do is get that tape off, and right here just at the base you want a nice sharp pruning saw. You just go and cut it. So this is what it looks like. That is all the roots right there. Get to focus. Anyway, they are all the roots. So all up along here you can see those roots. So now that that's cut, we'll take it along to my workbench and I'll show you how I pot it up. Okay, so once you've taken the plastic off, the first thing you want to do is get it soaking in a bucket with a little bit of, say, seaweed solution, such as sea salt. This way it just helps to prevent the plant from stressing out, and also, yeah, just gives it the bit of extra moisture because it will lose a bit over the time it is in the plastic. So the next thing we want to do, it looks lovely and big and you just want to plant it out straight away, but it will lose a lot of moisture, so you're going to have to cut it back to about 1 node. And if there's any fruit on there, for example this is the figs and it is in season, but this one doesn't have any figs on it, but if it did have any fruit, just knock them off as well, because that'll take up way too much energy which from the roots, which it doesn't have yet. Okay, so you want to cut this back to about 1 node. So generally you can tell with the leaves. There was a leaf right here. You can see that. There was a leaf like right here, except that got knocked off, so I'm just going to cut it about 1.5 centimeters or a bit over an inch. A bit over half an inch. With a clean cut just like that. So I'm going to keep on doing that. The rest of them, just like that. So leaves will grow back out of that, they will shoot, but you just want to keep the leaves to a minimum at the moment while it's getting established, just to save some energy, prevent it from stress, and prevent any extra moisture loss. Also, right now I'm not using my secateurs. I would prefer them, but I have misplaced them. So right now I'm just using my trusty old Leatherman, but you just want to use something, really anything that will give you a nice clean cut, and make sure it is sterilized. So there you go guys, now that is fully ready, fully prepped and ready to plant. Because there aren't heaps of leaves, it's fine, I'll just leave it like this. That is now prepped and ready to go, so all the new leaves will form off of these nodes, and then these remaining leaves, that will provide it to photosynthesize, and then it will just build more leaves as the roots in here get bigger. So now we'll get to potting. And now for potting up, I like to just use a general potting mix. Fill it up about 1/3 of the way. And then what you want to do is just grab some blood and bone, sprinkle it around. Just mix it in just a little bit. You want to get your fig and push it down a bit, so that way the base of it will cover about an extra centimetre or 2, and then this extra centimetre or 2, or about 1/2 to 1 inch worth of the bark, will form even more roots. So you just want to steady it. You want to get some of your potting mix again, and just spread up around it. Move it around. I have some potting mix here with some peat coir and a bit of blood and bone as well. And you just want to put that on top. I mean, you can just use more potting mix and then add some, say, peat coir or some blood and bone as well. I just had it there, so I used it. And push that in. I like to form a bit of a well, a slight well, so that the water will sit around the trunk, not in where the trunk is, because you don't want it to rot. It will just seep down to the roots. So now all that's left is to put some mulch on it and then give it a nice drink. So I'm just using some pequoia as mulch because it holds onto water really well. Some more. There we go. Now I'm actually just going to use this seaweed solution just to give it a drink. Recycling. Give it a nice big drink because you want all that potting mix to get moist. Just make sure that those roots definitely stay moist as it's getting established. Now that is it. That is simple as it. So then what you want to do is just make sure that you constantly give it some more water. Just make sure you don't keep it really wet, otherwise it'll get root rot. But you do want to make sure that stays moist, that new leaves will form all up the trunk, and that it will get established. So there you go, guys. That is the 2 that I have done. And there's a few more to do as well, so got to get onto those. But yeah, there you go, guys. That is really really good way just to take cuttings, because that way if it doesn't strike, it's still on and it will still live and it will still bear fruit. So these will get established quite quickly in a few weeks. You know, they will form heaps and heaps of new leaves all up the trunk and all up around here. So you know, it is really good. And that way also, instead of taking just a little cutting, it already has a lot of growth on it, and so it could really be taking off a year's worth of growth, and it has a good solid sort of trunk to start off with. So yeah, there you go, guys. So if you like that, please leave a big thumbs up, and make sure you leave all your comment suggestions and questions down in the comments box below. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Really appreciate that, guys. That way you'll stay updated with future videos just like this one and other things that I've got going around in my garden. So I hope you enjoyed that, and I'll catch you guys next time.